This will be the 115th time these two teams have matched up, but never in the history of this rivalry have both teams been in the top 10. That's right, number 7 Huskies welcoming the number 8 Ducks to town, and we may never have this rivalry look like this ever again because, as we know, both teams headed to the Big Ten Conference, so savor it, people. Oregon at Washington, that game at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. We're going to talk about that. But we also have plenty of other things to talk about. Welcome to Countdown to College GameDay, presented by Dr. Pepper. And guys, I mean, it's dark out here. It's a little wet and rainy. But Washington fans,
hey, they're bringing it.
It's electric out here right now.
Yeah, they're bringing it.
Yeah.
They're showing up and they're showing out.
Yeah.
I love the scenery right now.
Exactly.
At Washington.
Rolling deep. Christine Williamson, Harry Douglas, Harry Lyles Jr. We usually like to start every show with something that we call 3 big things. But one big thing happened last night, so we're going to talk about that Colorado-Stanford matchup because it didn't look like a lot of people probably expected it to look. Travis Hunter was back for Colorado, and, you know, he made himself felt early. Nice spin move here, 29 yards to the house. Okay, Travis Hunter, good on offense. Yep. What do you think about him defensively, HD?
Well, I would say this play right here is unbelievable. It shows you the athleticism and why this young man is special. Had a great day offensively, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. But defensively, it was a rough day for him. Got a personal foul on 3rd and 22. You can't have that after the Colorado defense actually got a stop. But the young man for Stanford, Io Maynard, had a heck of a night on Travis Hunter. But it's like that sometimes, guys.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people want things to be the glitz and glamour, but
so this happened in the 3rd quarter. He's gone 97 yards to the house. He had a huge game, as you mentioned. What was so impressive about him?
Well, the 2 routes that he ran were basically slants and go routes.
Yeah.
So for him to have 296 yards and 3 touchdowns on just those 2 routes, he was putting on a clinic last night on how to get open on a slant route multiple times. Shout out to his quarterback Daniels getting him the football when they needed it the most.
Okay, so in the 4th quarter is when Stanford came back to make it 29-26. Nobody expected them. I mean, obviously, Colorado was up 29.
Yeah.
And then they were able to come back. How were they able to get that done?
Hey, I mean, look, the Colorado's weaknesses, which we all know have been on the lines, allow you to get back into football games. You can tough your way back into these football games, and it's crazy because, hey, frankly, I fell asleep when it was 29 up at halftime. You know, it's early morning out here, ain't it? But it's one of those situations where you have to keep your foot on the gas. If you are a talented team, you've got to keep your foot on the gas. Obviously, there's a problem right there. Shedeur Sanders, all that pressure on him, he throws a pick in the end zone there. And that's how the game ends up that way.
Yeah.
And I would say that in overtime, Shedeur Sanders has to understand in the second overtime, you cannot just throw that football up. At worst, you want to make sure you get 3 points if you're Colorado.
Yeah, and Coach Prime did not look happy after this game. Listen to what he had to say.
I think it all started when we gave up on the 97-yard touchdown, which was flat out ridiculous. That's when it all started. That's when all the foolishness, all the complacency, all the mess started. I mean, how in the world we give up Jesus? Our secondary did not play the best game, especially at the cornerback position. Right now, we're not built for the moment. We're not built for the moment. Some of our players aren't built for the moment where they have to make a play or they have to keep contained or they have to make a block or they have to get another yard. We're not built for the moment right now.
Okay, so obviously he's very upset about that game. When we went to bed, as you mentioned, they were up 29. And then they weren't able to close out. HD, when you saw the score this morning, what did you think?
Well, first, I couldn't believe it. But it also shows you the tale of Colorado this entire season.
Yeah.
The inability to stop people defensively. And if they want to be a program that's in the thick of things when it comes to the college football playoffs moving forward, on the defensive side, they're going to have to be able to stop people. That's in the run game. That's in the pass game. For a young man to have 296 yards receiving on basically 2 routes, slants and go routes, that's inexcusable. And Dion being a former corner, the best to ever do it at the National Football League, you could understand his frustration.
And that's a young receiver too, actually. I believe he's a redshirt sophomore, right? Like, it's not like they're getting cooked by a junior, senior, nothing like that. Like, that's a young, like, that should not happen to you, really. And I think that also speaks to Travis Hunter and why we were going crazy about him early during the season, because he was so dominant on both sides of the football. So I don't think people should look at this and be like, oh, is Travis Hunter not good? Like, no, man, that happens.
And I would say the explosive plays, for Stanford to be able to have a 97-yard touchdown, a 60-yard touchdown, and 30-yard touchdown, you got to make them drive the length of the field.
It's not been fun to watch Colorado kind of take this slide later in the season. Okay, let's go to the matchup that we're looking forward to today right here. Oregon at Washington State. As I mentioned that game here at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Now, these two teams are combining for an average of 97.6 points per game. That's the most for a top 10 matchup of 5-0 or better teams since 2008. HD, let's start with Bo Nix. That's my guy. What has been the key to his success offensively?
I think Bo Nix really has a grasp on this offense. He has a gorilla grip, I would say. And the way he's diversifying the football and dissecting defenses, it's a thing of beauty. And then I will go to his maturity. Seeing Bo Nix and what he's been able to become from his Auburn days to his first year last year at Oregon to now, he's completing 80% of his passes. That's unheard of. But I think the most important thing for Bo Nix is that he's trusting his teammates, whether it's the running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. He doesn't feel like he has to be Superman out there on the football field. Last year he had 14 rushing touchdowns. He has nowhere near that right now. Doesn't even have 5. So that tells me that he's trusting his teammates and diversifying the football to his playmakers.
Okay, so the quarterback on the other side of this matchup that we haven't talked about enough, I feel like, Michael Penix Jr. He is leading FBS with an average of 400 passing yards per game. That's HD, guys. Lyles, I'm going to let you talk about him a little bit. What has been
his story and Bo Nix's story are very similar, and they've both improved in ways that honestly, it's kind of cool that we have this moment today between these two teams, because one of these guys is going to have the signature moment today. But with Michael Penix, this is a guy, I think his completion percentage was 53% 2 years ago. He's completing 75% of his passes, are top 5 in FBS. To have that sort of improvement is incredible, and it's not just that they're doing the short to intermediate passes. The difference between him and Bo Nix is he is great at the big plays. HD, you've always given their receivers their credit and their due. That's a piece of his success, but his big play ability, second in FBS, in those chunk plays, 20-plus yards, he's got 35 of them. To me, that could be the difference for them in the game today.
So Lyles mentioned it. Obviously, these quarterbacks can't be successful without a good receiving core. What has been impressive about both these teams?
Well, I'm going to start with Washington and Rome Ondunzi. That young man is phenomenal. 6'3", 215, but his balance and his strength. He does punt returns, and Washington tried everything possible to make sure he gets the football, whether it's reverses, whether it's in the screen game. He's phenomenal with contested catches. Also, I like his mindset of attacking the football at the point of attack. This is a young man whose athleticism is off the charts, and if they want to win this football game today, they're going to have to get that young man the football. Now, when you look at Oregon, I'm going to go with Troy Franklin. That's a guy that 6'3", 185 pounds, a little bit more slimmer, wiry, but the way he gets in and out of his breaks at the top of routes is unbelievable. He's a hands catcher, and we all know I love guys that catches the football with their hands.
There is no doubt that all eyes are on Seattle, Washington, with Oregon in town. Take a listen to this.
That's going to be...
This offense is dangerous. He can do it with the arm and then showcase the smarts with the legs.
I would say our offense is very explosive. My job is just to get the ball in the hands of our playmakers.
Bo's the type of person that's going to take a shot, not only with his arm, but with his feet too. If he has a lane, he's going to go take it.
It's going to take sound tackling and sound in our assignments. We're ready to come smack him on that first drive.
Intercepted! Ulofoshia, the pick six.
They're an incredible defense. They've done a great job all year.
You know, they use their hands really well, and they're really explosive players, and they create a lot of disruption. So there's people you have to know where they're at all times.
We feed off of disruption, and that's what we try to do on every single play.
You know, the passion that they play with is going to be the best that we face this year. We're really up for the challenge.
When you get an opportunity like this, you want to go out there and make the most of it.
In this game, Caleb Williams is going to make a ton of plays.
All right, we now welcome in our resident Pac-12 Stanford Steve. We were talking about how lit it is out here. I mean,
at the end of the day, I want to see Notre Dame has enough
it's awesome to see, right?
I
I've said forever, like I played here in the 90s, like in Husky Stadium. It's the loudest place I ever played in. And it's a special place. When they are invested, it's a totally different animal. And we've been here before with the show. This is how it is. This is how I know UW Nation. Like it is as invested a fan base as there is. The hatred, I'm sure you guys have touched on it. They just simply just don't like each other in any facet. The purple versus the green, the gold versus the yellow. No matter what it comes down to, it's just pure hatred. It's everything you want in a rivalry.
It's definitely very beautiful. There's also some really good Michael Penix Jr. signs out there. I don't know if you've seen them. Classy, very classy. Okay, let's talk about this team, USC and Oregon, because obviously those are 3 undefeated teams in the Pac-12. What is the likely scenario for at least one Pac-12 team to be in the CFB?
Well, I hate to say it, but it's the domino effect. It's going to come down to who beats who. Now, if you could stay unscathed, that's a nice thing, because like we mentioned USC, but when I think about them, this is when I thought the season would start for them. They haven't played anybody, and when you look at what they have, Oregon, Washington, and SC all play each other.
Right.
And when I look at the other game today in Corvallis, if UCLA wins that game, I know they have a loss to Utah, but UCLA doesn't play Washington or Oregon. So if you get that win, you got to win over Oregon State, you got to win over Wazoo, you got an inside track there. But in my opinion, these are the 2 most complete teams. But if they get, I don't know. I can't, I put Oregon State and UCLA ahead of USC. I know USC's undefeated. I just can't stand watching that defense. And I don't see any improvement. Like, if they didn't improve against the teams they played earlier in their schedule, they're not going to get, they got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. They got Utah coming in, a trip to South Bend tonight. We're going to learn a lot more about USC the next couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, another team that we're going to learn a lot about in the next couple weeks is Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
They've looked complete. They're putting up points. They're playing great defense, but they also have the 111th ranked strength of schedule. Is it more of their skill and their team, or is it a byproduct of the schedule, or is it a mix of both?
I look at Michigan, and when you watch both sides of the ball, they're as complete as anybody. And I get the schedule thing, but they're not, going on the road and struggling. They go on the road in Nebraska and beat their brains in. They go to Minnesota. That game's over quick. So I think the mentality of that team, I believe their defense hasn't even faced a first and goal yet this year. When I was looking at the stats, that's taking care of business right there. So I'm not worried. We're going to learn a lot more about them. Everybody questioned their wide receivers coming into the season. They've made plays against these teams, but as that schedule ramps up, we'll learn a lot more about Michigan. But I don't doubt anything they're doing right now. I love the mindset they have.
So I want to move to the SEC, and particularly I want to talk about Alabama, right? This is a team that won their first 3 games in the SEC. In the SEC West, they are the only undefeated team left on that side of the bracket. When you look at Jalen Milroe and what he's been able to do since regaining that starting quarterback job, had a career day last week versus Texas A&M, are you willing to say that this Alabama team that you witnessed the last few weeks is ready to contend or be a contender in the college football playoffs?
Absolutely. I do. The thing that people just can't get in their heads, though, is think about what we've seen from Saban's teams in the past, right? They've always played that neutral site game against a great team, and they buried them. It's like, all right, Alabama's good. Here's the finished product. They're fine. And you go through the receivers they've had, the quarterbacks they've had. Now they had guys to fill in those pieces, and I hate to say it, a lot of people don't like it, but some stuff takes time. Guys need reps. Guys need experience. And you saw the tweaks you see them every week with the tweaks to the Alabama offense. Getting Milroe more quarterback design runs. Getting Jalen Burton one-on-ones last week in that win. So I like they're taking steps. They show improvement. And, I think Georgia, Alabama in Atlanta for SEC title. I think that's a wrap.
It's going to be really good.
I'll put my name on that one.
Okay. This college football season has been so fun, this college football season. We know it's not going to look like this anymore, but there's so much parity, so it's been really fun to watch a lot of the teams, even when you talk about Alabama, who hasn't been as strong as they previously have been. Steve, thank you so much for joining us on our show. I don't know if you know this, but in Washington, they do tailgating a little bit different. They call it Sailgating. I got to hang out with one of the OGs of Sailgating. Take a listen to this. Hello, people. It is a beautiful day here in Seattle, Washington. A good day for a boat ride. Now, we know that Tennessee, Baylor, they all sailgate, but apparently Washington does it better. We're gonna get on the Big Dog, which you guys might remember this boat from something that a colleague of mine did not too long ago.
Let's go ahead and start this bad boy with a splash.
The pants ripped all the way. I couldn't have planned it any better.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but we're going to go check it out. Hello.
Welcome to the big dog.
Okay, guys, we are currently on the Big Dog with Jeannie Miles of the Big Dog and of this tradition that you guys are doing here at Washington, going over to Husky Harbor. So what makes this so special?
Well, I think probably this is one of the most scenic places in the country. I've been to a lot or many of the big stadiums. I love football.
Yeah.
I really do. And I haven't missed a game in a long time.
How big is the Big Dog?
I think it's probably maybe 95 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay, so about how many people can fit on this boat?
I think legally we can bring, I think it's like 96 people. I just look forward to it every weekend.
Should we go head over to Husky Harbor?
Sure, absolutely. You need to see it.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's wonderful.
Okay, we are now here in Husky Harbor. It's calm.
It is calm.
Very peaceful, honestly. But you were saying you get a little nervous on game day.
I do.
What is the atmosphere like?
Oh, tomorrow will be totally not calm here. Dick's Burgers, they come and they'll throw burgers to the boat people, and you know, that's kind of fun. The alumni band comes down and entertains people, and they always come to our boat every time. It's good fun, and it gets the atmosphere going. Everybody loves it. It'll be a good game. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, nice meeting you.
Oh.
Okay, so as we know, this college football season, there are a number of teams that need some help on the football field. So we got MD, our doctor, to give a diagnosis to some of these teams and hopefully help them heal on the college football field. All right, we start with USC. They are being too generous with yardage. They have some fear of contact, and they're enjoying cardio a little too much. So MD, what would you give them as a diagnosis?
Well, I think this is a case of not being able to stop the run. And you look at USC this season with their first game, San Jose State. They gave up 193 yards and a touchdown. Then you go to Colorado. They gave up 198, 2 touchdowns. Move on to Arizona, 203 yards. And then lastly, when they faced Stanford, gave up 209 yards and a touchdown. Now, they're going to, if they have dreams and aspirations that make it a college football playoffs, they're going to have to get this fixed. So I have a cure. I have a great cure for the USC Trojans in their run defense. Well, it starts with the coaching staff. Everything starts at the top, because this was an issue last season. Their last 2 games, whether it was a bowl game against Tulane or the Pac-12 championship game against Utah, they gave up 500 yards rushing between the 2 games. 300 to Tulane, over 200 to the Utah Utes. That can't happen. So that's my cure. It starts in the film room with the coaches, then to the practice field, 9-on-7, being physical. They can rush the passer, but they cannot stop the run. And if they have dreams to make it a college football playoff, that has to change.
Christine, Notre Dame hasn't been looking too good either. What are their symptoms?
Yeah, doctor. Okay, so I see they're showing signs of merely thick, not thick, bouts of memory loss, and an identity crisis. What is their diagnosis?
Well, I think this is a case of trenches fever, not being good up front offensively. So we know Notre Dame, when they're rushing the football effectively, the pass game is mirrored by that. That's when this team thrives the first few games of the year. Now, last week against Louisville, it was terrible for them. I would say they did not rush for over 50 yards, but also when the run game doesn't get started for them, now it hampers the pass game. Louisville was able to get 5 sacks, and then Sam Hartman got sporadic, right? They were able to force turnover after turnover. So my cure for them is that the offensive linemen need to spend a little bit more time in the weight room, eat a little bit more meals, because if they can get this run game going against USC today, Notre Dame will be able to win this football game. So that's what I have for Notre Dame.
Okay, so this is going to break my heart. I have heartache. That's my diagnosis. And this one for my Miami Hurricanes, who are coming off a loss, obviously. They're struggling with composure, struggling with basic math, and blackouts. What's their diagnosis?
Well, this is a strong case of things just being in disarray for Miami. Like you look at last week, and it was multiple things.
Yeah.
From the quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, snapping the ball with 16 seconds left on the play clock when you had the lead, bleeded all the way down to 1 second, to the coach not being at a victory formation. 6 tight diamond is what we used to call it. It's the most beautiful thing you hear in the headset when a coach is calling a play. 6 tight diamond. That means you have basically won the game. I put that on Mario Cristobal. But lastly, that defense. All you have to do is get a stop. You allow Georgia Tech to get 2 explosive pass plays to win that football game. Now, my cure for them, we're going to take their talents to South Beach. Going on down to South Beach to clear your mind so you don't have the situational football blunders that you had against Georgia Tech. So that's what I have for mine.
Do you mean South Beach like the beach?
You go to the beach. Go to the beach, clear
club,
your mind.
You know what I'm saying?
No club.
Okay.
Go to the beach. Nice day in the sun.
Take some time in the ocean.
Hey, Doctor, and don't you think it's ironic that the University of Miami had some trouble with some bees, and Christine went to Miami and had some trouble with some bees last year?
It wasn't a bee.
Miami. Christine.
It was a yellow jacket, which is more accurate. Also, I just want to say you look really good in that doctor's coat.
Well, I'm a man of many talents.
MD.
Yeah. The more you can do, the more you'll be around. That's what someone told me.
Okay, so one team that might be in HDMD's patient waiting room is Penn State, who is playing the 1-6 UMass team this week. Their head coach, James Franklin, had some very interesting things to say about their week non-conference schedule. Take a listen.
There's a team in this conference specifically that's buying out of a ton of game contracts that are already signed to go in the complete opposite direction. You know, if you're not scheduling to be undefeated, you're scheduling to have as least as many losses as possible to give yourself a chance to be in the playoffs. There's another team in this conference that has had a ton of success the last couple of years. And again, I think it would follow the same argument.
So the team that Franklin may or may not have been referencing in that sound had to cancel a home-and-home with UCLA scheduled for this season, currently number 2 in the AP poll, but has the 111th toughest schedule in FBS, as you mentioned earlier. Now, the Nittany Lions, not a whole lot better than Michigan, though. 110th hardest schedule in FBS, and that'll drop a bit as they take on the 129th ranked UMass team this afternoon. But, of course, they're still 5-0. Now, the Buckeyes, the only top 10 or the top Big Ten team with a leg to stand on schedule-wise, their win over Notre Dame boosts them up to the 54th hardest schedule in FBS so far. They take on Purdue today. So that leads us to our Fansville Advantage presented by Dr. Pepper, where the schedule test gets a whole lot harder for Ohio State and Penn State as the Nittany Lions head to Columbus, Ohio. HD, how big is a home field advantage for Ohio State in this one?
I'll be honest, it's going to have to be big. The last time we were actually at the shoe, it's when they played Michigan, and Michigan dominated them at home. So that crowd is going to have to be effective because this Penn State football team this year in 2023 is better than it was in years prior.
Yep.
So those fans are going to have to be loud. They're going to have to be rowdy, and they're going to have to create a home field advantage atmosphere environment for the Buckeyes next week.
Okay, so Penn State hasn't beaten Ohio State since 2016. Obviously, as we mentioned, Ohio State going to be at home. What kind of challenge does that present to Drew Allar and that Penn State team?
And just, it's a similar situation to Ohio State, which Drew Allar is going to show up. He looked good as a passer against West Virginia. He looked good as a passer against Iowa, which is a great defense, but then you leave more to be desired against teams like Illinois and Northwestern. So this is a game, if Penn State is going to be a legitimate contender this season, that you have to come out and show that you can compete in a game like this. But that crowd's going to make it tough for them.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a fun one. Maybe we'll be there next week. Who knows? All right, it is time now for everyone's favorite segment, the 1-minute drill.
This is a winner right here, HD.
This guy's got it. Oh my, are you a baseball player? What's going on here?
Oh, Lord.
You gotta get in front of it now. Stay low.
Let's go, Kevin. Oh, my Lord. You have been disqualified. All right? Disqualification.
Okay, so the 1-minute drill this week. HD leads Lyles 3-2 after Lyles took the fair games last week.
Let's go.
So just so you know, this week we're playing fish toss. In the spirit of Pike Place's fish markets, whoever has the most catches in this one wins. Now, I'm not going to lie. I thought the fish were going to be a little bigger. They're very tiny. They're not as big as those fish that we see there throwing. And Lyles and HD are going to be in on this competition. I don't know who's counting the amount of tosses. You guys have to be honest names? Zach?
Nate.
Zach and Nate are the teammates. Okay, are you guys good throwers and good catchers?
Sure.
That doesn't make me feel confident at all. You a good catcher or thrower?
Hey, bro, you got to strike zone.
Just so you know, HD is up, so he needs to get a win. So he's hungry. Okay, yeah. His name is Harry. All right, ready?
I mean, we're both Harry.
Yes.
The mic? I don't want
He
this
called
mic.
you green. All right, ready?
Put the
Here, I'll
microphone
take
down,
your
bud.
mics
Thank
so you
you. I
guys
don't
can
want
really
the
get in
mic.
on this. Ready? Go.
All right. 2. Oh, come on now.
Go fast. Somebody has to go faster. Lyles a little bit ahead in this one. Lyles a little bit ahead in this one.
I hope somebody's counting this because I'm certainly not.
You started. Lyles is ahead.
I started, but I didn't.
Lyles is ahead.
No, he's not, Christine.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he
I can
is.
tell
No,
because
he's not.
he lapped you, and now he's still lapping
My
you.
tie's the same color as the fish.
How much time do we have left? Should have got bigger fishes. 30 seconds left.
Hey, he played wide receiver in the NFL. This ain't fair, bro.
He sure did.
Hey, I got bigger hands, though.
I do a rice bucket grip work.
Hey, yo, oh, my bad.
We got 15 seconds on the clock.
15?
Baby.
I don't know who's winning.
Kenny, we
might
should
have
have
to go-
shortened this.
We might have to go to the
Hey,
tape
he
for
keeps
this
dropping,
one
bro.
because
I haven't
nobody's
dropped one yet.
counting. Actually,
We won this.
4, 3, 2, 1. Now,
Let's go.
according to my calculations, Harry Lyles
We definitely
won
won
that
that.
one.
Oh, you sound biased.
Yeah, no, I'm not. You're winning 3-2. Now you guys are tied. Anyways, as I mentioned, this is a really cute fish. I'm gonna take this home with me.
got it. We lost.
Anyways, yeah, you lost. Is your name Zach?
The system,
Zach,
the system is rigged.
you won. I forget your
system is
name.
rigged.
Do you want a fish? You should
Exactly.
take the fish home and here, you take the winning fish home. Yeah. Good job.
This is
All
a
right,
rigged
let's take a look at
system.
some signs, shall we?
It's rigged.
It's not. You've been winning the whole time.
Let's go.
All right, so as I mentioned, there's a lot of good signs out here today, but HG, what do you have going on over there?
Are you cheesy?
I am cheesy.
How cheesy?
Super cheesy.
How much do you love Cheez-Its?
I love cheesy.
How much? How much? How much again? That's what I'm talking about, baby. It is now time to honor the fan feeling the cheesiest with the cheesiest chain reserved for college football, most passionate fan. The ones who show up on Saturday feeling the cheesiest. I am now with Matthew. Matthew, what time did you get here this morning?
I got here at 6 p.m. yesterday.
So what are the chances that you think that Oregon has to win this game today against UW?
You know, on the Matthew Sportsbook odds, I give them 100%. All right, bet the over on Oregon.
So you are a lucky man because you get a replica chain of the one that I'm wearing right now. It's a little smaller, but
Yes, sir.
you're blinging, my man.
Yes, sir.
So Matthew, give me a prediction of the score.
It's going to be a high-scoring game. Michael Penix is one heck of a ball player, but we got Bo Nix and a great defense, great line of scrimmage. I'm going to say 37-34, Oregon.
So thank you, Matthew. You're going to have a tough time surviving around these Washington fans.
I will.
Christine, back to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Harry Douglas. Let's talk about one team that was at one point making me very proud this season, but no longer anymore. It is Miami taking on UNC. That game's at 7:30 p.m. on ABC. Lyles, what the freaking heck?
Hey, got to feel good about that point spread, though, right? Just 3. Look, this is not an easy matchup for Miami for a couple of reasons. One, you're going on the road to Chapel Hill, raucous environment, good football team, Drake May. The toughest part about this is how do you pick up your team's morale after a week like last week? Because what do you say to your team after something like that happens? I mean, look, I'm not even trying to be funny. What do you want to see out of Miami this week?
I'm not going to lie. After last week, I wanted Cristobal fired. So,
all right, well, he's here this week, so.
That's extensive.
Listen, I feel like it's going to be a tough one. Last week, what I said is that they have 2 tough matchups coming up, so it'll be a tough one. I don't know. I don't know what the teams are going to do. Anyways, UCLA taking on Oregon State, 8 p.m. Eastern. They're traveling to Corvallis to take on, obviously, a strong Oregon State team. What do you hope to see out of this one, HG?
Well, I'll say last week UCLA had a big win versus Washington State, the only team so far this season that shut down Cameron Ward. That defense was phenomenal. They had 4 turnovers in that matchup. Also, they rushed the football very effectively. So looking forward to seeing if they're going to have a hangover or not. The team that they're playing, Oregon State, they're very physical on both sides of the football. Looking forward to this matchup.
DJ Uiagalelei.
Your boy.
Making his I mean, this is a little comeback season. Okay, Texas A&M taking on Tennessee.
Yes.
3:30 p.m. Eastern. The Aggies coming off a loss to Bama. Lyles, what do you think about this one?
This feels like a game between, and it feels like we do this at least once a week in the SEC, maybe twice a week, where you have two teams that keep leaving things to be desired out there on the football field. We had high expectations for A&M this year. Wanted to see a little bit more out of Joe Milton. This feels like a game where he could kind of get right. To me, this is really going to be all about how A&M answers. You've seen that 84 opposing rushing yards per game. I'm going to take Tennessee in this one. I'm expecting a big game from Joe Milton. I think it'll be a fun one, especially, you guys know that's one of the best environments in college football there at Neyland Stadium.
For sure. All right, let's go Louisville at Pitt. Louisville looks to stay undefeated before their bye week. What are you looking at this one?
Well, what about the Louisville Cardinals getting a big win last week versus Notre Dame? The job that Jeff Brom has done so far has been phenomenal, but you cannot have a hiccup when it comes to Pittsburgh. You can't play down to their standard. Jaward Jordan has been phenomenal rushing the football, but that defense, Ashton Gallant, what he's been able to do from a defensive line perspective, top 10 right now in sacks, that defense is playing ferocious. Keep that winning streak alive. Continue to stay undefeated. Do not have a letdown at Pittsburgh.
Okay, as we have mentioned throughout this entire show, this matchup is a huge one. There's a lot at stake, not only in the Pac-12, but also just in college football in general. So let's get some game picks, shall we, when it comes to this matchup. Out of the corner of my eye, I can see some mascots, and they're not my favorite. But I feel like they're going to come over here, so it's fine.
You want my game pick? I got my game pick right here.
Who do you have in this one?
I got Oregon. I think the difference in this game is going to be the running game. Washington's weakness has been run defense. Oregon, they've been bringing it every year. Bucky Irving going to have a big game today.
Yeah. All right. What do you got?
You know what? I'm going to get the crowd involved. Y'all come over here with me. You done, baby. I'm going with Washington today. I'm going with Washington because of Michael Penix Jr., the big playability, 3 wide receivers that I think at some point is going to eclipse over 1,000 yards. I don't think Oregon's going to have an answer for it. You dub all day, baby.
Which quarterback do you think is going to have the bigger game, Penix or
I'm going to go with Penix.
Okay.
You sure about that?
All right.
I'm going to go with Penix.
Okay, well, I'm also going with Washington. Oh, I thought that was, okay, just so you know, I'm looking at the screen right now, and I thought that was my Oregon pick, and I was like, no, I chose Washington. But the fans are going with Oregon. What is that? 57% of fans on YouTube voted for Oregon in this matchup, so we'll see how that goes. As I mentioned, that game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. We're excited about it. It's no longer raining outside. It's going to be a great day. We had a great show.
We did.
If I do say so myself. I don't like mascots, so we're going to go now. GameDay, presented by Dr. Pepper. We'll see you next week.
College GameDay.